Welcome back. The JSE's comeback kid, Rainbow Chickens, shares are available for trade. The group has been spun off by its parent company RCL Foods and becomes the third poultry player listed on the exchange. Earlier today, I caught up with the company's CEO Marthinus Stander at the JSE in Sandton and started off by asking him to talk us through the significance of the listing and what it took to get the business to stand on its own 2 feet. Here's that conversation.
To achieve that, we had to gain some traction, we had to get some results. So ultimate objective, so that you sit with pure plays on the RCL side in the value-added space, and with us being agriculture, similarly in charge of our own investment thesis. So a lot of hard work. Value chain is very long. It takes about 2 years to sometimes see a change pull through all the way to the 4th generation chicken, which is the broiler. So get the right teams on the ground, organize them in the right structure, get the brilliant basics going again, change the breed. We brought volume back to the Hammersdale plant, made better feed, invest in the operations.
Yeah.
But nothing without the right people in the right places. So,
yeah. Well, talk to me about the timing of this listing, because also it's quite a cyclical business that you operate in. We know that the chicken business is not a walk in the park, and obviously looking even just at your financials, where you were in a loss-making position in FY23, but now obviously you're back to profit-making territory. Just talk to me about the timing and also just the kind of macro environment that you are seeing right now.
Yeah, so timing is often everything. I think the first element of timing that just worked out very well is this government of national unity right now.
Yeah.
So I think there's some positive sentiment, and hopefully one sees some traction behind in support for the rand. But you're right, we live in a sort of almost randomly volatile input cost environment. You have maize, you have soya, you have weather, you have what investors do, etc., traders and so forth. So randomly volatile. We've not seen a purple patch as such. We now again sit with local cropping under pressure. So that is always the case. On the front end, the consumer is under pressure, so we got to live within that environment. So yes, we haven't seen a purple patch as such, but it also helped us to really, batten down the hatches, focus on the basics, get our engine room as fit as possible, really look at lowest cost possible, because you're going to have those input cost variations and stuff. Best defense is to be a low-cost producer, and you can hopefully ride the wave. So we're looking and hoping for some tailwinds. Bird flu obviously also a big factor.
Yes.
So far so good this year.
So has that been completely worked out of the system?
Yes, we're still importing a few eggs for our northern region, but we repopulated the stock. We moved the chicken houses out of the very high dense mid-rand area, geographically separated them. So that all bodes well, and so far so good.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about investors, because I know that obviously there is a little bit of nervousness coming from some investors, obviously lots of excitement, but still maybe some nervousness coming from some investors, about investing into a chicken counter, very, very cyclical business. What conversations have you been having with investors, and maybe where you're looking at building up muscle so that you can have a more sustainable business? Exactly,
that is our short to medium term aim. We need to show investors that we can remain profitable through the cycle. So the cycle is going to take you up and down, but it's that median line. Is it below the water, or does it remain above the water? I think Astral showed that 22 out of 23 years they managed to remain profitable. So it's certainly doable. But the proof is in the pudding. We'll have to, it's in the eating, we will have to show that first before we'll be taken seriously.
Well, proof of the pudding is in the eating, the consumer.
Yes.
Because we've seen quite interesting shifts in consumer sentiment, consumer behavior and consumption in this kind of constrained economic environment. We've seen reports coming out, for example, from the Competition Commission talking about how the consumer is now, leaning more towards canned fish, for example, and away from, your traditional favorite sources of protein like chicken and beef and all of that. And now looking at, for example, Astral saying that they are going to experiment with canned chicken. How are you navigating the sort of, constrained consumer environment? Are you also looking at any options in order to kind of meet the consumer where they are financially?
Yes, Zanati, you have to be relevant to the consumer. I mean, it's really the reason for being. So we got to be like consumer maniacs, in fact.
Yeah.
So watching that space, we've got some arrows in our quiver, like product development, innovation. We got absolutely wonderful brands in Rainbow, Simply Chicken. We've got the edge, I think, with chilled processed meats, the Viennas and the Polonies. So we know we must remain relevant, and it's for us to see how can we get cheap enough chicken on the shelf. I think chicken is always going to be number one, no matter what pilchards or fish or anybody else.
I mean, chicken is my favorite.
Yes, absolutely my favorite as well. So I think, but we can't let it slip there, and it's absolutely our duty to see how we can remain relevant.
And are you able to then navigate, accordingly and appropriately in terms of your margins as well, your margin management?
This is the best defense there again, is to have the lowest cost possible.
Okay.
So if you cannot, you're going to suffer from cost push through, input cost and fuel and all these things. If you can't recover that in the market, it's very much prices, supply and demand playing out. Then you'll have to find ways through efficiencies, lower cost, right people, and all the things you do to find the margin.
That was CEO of Rainbow Chicken, Marthinus Stander.